304-9986.
Stay healthy all year long and protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community by getting vaccinated against COVID-19. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free, and approved for everyone over the age of 5. Wear a mask outdoors in crowds and indoor settings, and lay low or get tested before visiting family and friends or attending events. To get more tips, schedule your vaccine, or get tested, visit ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine. That's ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Rain overnight with a low of 36, and rain continues on Wednesday with strong winds with a high of 40.
At Warner Stellian, we thought it was about time you got paid. Now through May 3rd, we'll pay you $50 for each qualifying appliance you buy during our Stellian stimulus sale. Save up to $1,000 on laundry repairs ready for fast free delivery. Buy now at warnerstellian.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, didn't cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concept of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
Hey, my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
And I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we discuss local and national news and events, Native news and events. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. We have today Gina Peltier doing the news with us of Honor the Earth, and then we're going to have Nancy Beaulieu on later today with MN 350, Bemidji 350, talking about what's going on in the deep north. And then we also have a special guest on in this second segment too. And her name's Bridget, and Guiza, I do believe is how you say her name. And before I get any too further into blabbing here, I just got to give a shout out to Wendy. I know she's got COVID and she's stuck in New York, and healing prayers to you. I can't wait to see you. And now Gina Peltier with the news. Welcome.
Hey everyone, Buju, Gina Peltier, Indigenikas, Makadewa, Makawandudam, Anishinaabe, Indujaba, Mikanakwaje, and Iniwag. Hey guys, Gina Peltier here. I'm Anishinaabe, Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. So good to see you. Thanks, Robert, for having me. It's been quite the busy day, but it's still so good to be here to bring you this good news. So moving forward, it looks like there will be a community informational meeting events on the Toxic Huber Mill, a wood processing factory that will harvest wood within 100 miles of Cohasset, Minnesota, including wood out of the Chippewa National Forest and in towns starting in northern Minnesota. And there is an ask to attend these informational meetings in your area. Starting April 13th, there will be one in Walker, Minnesota. April 14th, there will be one in Cass Lake, Minnesota. April 19th in Bemidji, Minnesota, and then April 21st in the Grand Rapids, Minnesota. All events start at 5:30 p.m. Dinner will be served, and there will be speakers and time for questions. The meeting will focus on information on devastating effects on the Huber Mill. what the Huber Mill is, and the need to use sustainable building are alternatives to the poisonous OSB sheets that the Huber Mill will be making. To learn more, go to Honor the Earth's Facebook page events page, or go to protectmnforests.org. Again, that's protectmnforests.org. One thing we talked about yesterday is that in Washington, D.C. yesterday, supporters of Declare Emergency, a nonviolent civil resistance campaign, blocked Highway 395 overpass yesterday morning, to demand the Biden administration act now to declare a nationwide state of emergency and to cease all fossil fuel concessions on federal and indigenous lands. Among the supporters and among the people yesterday in the action were First Nations people from Camp McGeezy Will Fly from Minnesota here that was active in the Line 3 resistance. And also as well as members from Quick Carbon. Reports are that they did block the highway for at least 30 minutes, and arrests were made with some abuse from the officers when they zip-tied the protectors' hands together really tightly, cutting off circulation, and kept it like that until after they were released at the police station. And I spoke with one of the protectors who was at DC, and they are part of Camp McGeezy, and they did say that they do plan on being out there until at least the 13th. They want to continue to be out there longer, and for as long as it takes for President Biden to declare this emergency. But for now, they will be out there until the 13th, and they will be there. They will be doing actions and events every other day. So to find out more on how you can support them, you can go to Camp McGeezy's Facebook page, or you can go and donate at donorbox.org/declare emergency. And then leaders of 4 tribes in Maine traveled to Washington to testify in favor of a bill that would allow them to benefit from the future federal laws, despite a state-led claims settlement. Unlike more than 550 federally recognized tribes in Maine are currently governed by the Maine Indian Claims Settlement Act of 1980 that stipulates they're bound by state law. Chief Clarissa Sabatis of the Holton Band of Maliseets said that Congress has given other tribes tools to protect citizens, creating economic opportunities and provide health care. They are only asking for the same equal access to the future programs as the other 570 federally recognized tribes have. The bill that would update federal law to put Maine's Wabanaki tribes on equal footing with other tribes moving forward. The bill would cut through unnecessary red tape and bureaucratic efforts to ensure federal laws in the future would apply to all tribes, including those in Maine. This bill will be voted on at the end of the month, and may the force be with those tribes. As tribes seek more inclusion and action from U.S. officials, Interior Secretary Auntie Deb Haaland has met with nearly 130 of the nation's federally recognized tribes as she tries to develop a plan for improving formal consultations with tribes and established an advisory committee that will aid with the communication once it is up and running. In an effort to make consultation a hallmark out of her tenure, Haaland has said that she wants integration of tribal input to become second nature for her employees. And while some tribes say her aspirations are admirable, others remain skeptical that they will see real change and say they have yet to experience meaningful dialogue with the federal government or key decision makers. But frustrations persist among tribal leaders who say that their conversations with the federal government have not resulted in an action on the ground. For example, the Indian tribe in Utah, those frustrations lie in the management of the Colorado Basin, as Western states grapple with less water amid a mega drought and climate change. Tribes were not included in a century-old compact that divvied up the water, and the Ute tribe says it's seeing the same exclusion now. The tribe's business committee has spent hours in meetings and preparing formal comments and says it's tired of having to reiterate its position that the federal government must protect the tribe's water rights or support development of water infrastructure to serve the reservation. Under the U.S. Constitution, treaties, and statutes, the federal government must consult meaningful and in good faith with Native American and Alaskan Native tribes when making decisions or taking action that is expected to impact them. However, a 2019 report from a government watchdog found some federal agencies lacked respect for tribal sovereignty, and they didn't have enough resources for consultation or couldn't have always reached tribes. Another top complaint from tribes is that they are brought in when a course of action has already been set, instead of including them in the earliest phases of planning. The legislation faces an uphill battle, and some tribes want to ensure that it includes a pathway not only for the federal government to initiate consultation, but for tribal leaders to start conversations. Enough is enough, and the key decision makers need to be replaced with people who actually care. But don't back down. Don't get intimidated. Get involved and continue to fight, because we're going to have to if we're going to see change. How about that, Robert?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Great job on the news as always. One of the things I'd really like to mention too, I had to clear my throat, is that we're all over Turtle Island here. We're live in Wisconsin, in Madison, in the Twin Cities, Milwaukee, and it's just great to see people on our Facebook Live saying hello and where they're from. It's just inspiring that we're getting the word out, and great job, Gina. And we got a new guest on next segment, and so I'm pretty excited about that. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here on Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after this short break. You are listening to Native Roots Radio, and this portion is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. We'll be right back.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this portion is brought to you by Lion Energy, Pouring Beyond. And we have a guest here. It looks like a carload of guests here. And we're going to be talking. First, I'd like I'd like you to, Bridget, to introduce yourself to our listening audience all over Turtle Island, and let's get busy and talk about some energy and what you guys are doing up there. But introduce yourself, please.
Well, hello, bonjour, Lanin, thank you. My name is Bridget Giesen. I'm here on the beautiful White Earth Indian Reservation with a whole crew of White Earth tribal members and community members, lifelong residents. And I'm here representing Ogama Organics, and we're a food sovereignty initiative on White Earth. We work a lot with deep winter greenhouse technologies, and we are also working at the nexus of regenerative agriculture and renewable energy. And I'm also here with Jodan Rozo, who is co-founder and COO of Ogama Organics, and a few of our apprentices from our, we recently launched an apprentice program for recruitment and retention, workforce development, training, and education. And we're hosting a renewable energy career fair coming up at the end of this month. So.
Yeah, on the 29th, I see, and it's from 12:30 to 4, and then you're serving lunch, and then you have keynote speakers at 1:30. Can you tell everybody where that is going to be, and where is Callaway, Minnesota, in regards to the Twin Cities? Can you tell our audience that? Because we got people from all over the country listening to the show.
Yeah, so this event is tailored to White Earth community members, students, and residents, but it is also open to the public. And it will be at the Callaway Community Center, which is at 403 Main Avenue in Callaway. That's about 3.5 hours north of the Twin Cities. And we are doing this in partnership with Niji Radio and the White Earth Green Team, which is a group of tribal small businesses who are working really hard to improve the current conditions in energy, housing, food, access, education, workforce here on White Earth. So,
can you talk to our audience and talk about how important first food sovereignty is for us, and also how we can really change our talking points to a renewable energy, and how nations across the country can do that?
That's a hefty question.
It's like 3 questions. Sorry.
That question. What is food sovereignty for White Earth? What does that mean?
All right. Well, hey, we're live on radio here. I won't be editing this down if there's silence.
You know, this is a topic. Anin Buju, I'm Jodan Rozo, co-founder of Ogama Organics with Bridget Giesen, and food sovereignty has a very wide breadth of meaning, in particular to White Earth. As we identified in a food sovereignty assessment that we did in 2017, we were awarded a grant from First Nations Development Institute in 2017 to conduct food sovereignty assessment, and we surveyed approximately 5,400 homes, and we gathered a lot of data. We SWOT analyzed the 9 communities across the 36 by 36 square White Earth Indian Reservation, and through this process, we held community charrettes in where the community members of each village identified and located on these maps of the community areas of traditional forage and harvest, areas that are no longer accessible due to land privatization and a lot of dirty deeds or unclear title, whatever. But the food system that is on White Earth, the agriculture around us is monocrop agriculture. It's big ag. Very, very little of the large agriculture products grown here on the reservation actually feed the people of the reservation, excluding the potatoes grown directly across the street from the elementary school in Pine Point. You know, those are RDO potatoes. Those are feeding McDonald's. So whoever eats McDonald's, so I guess whoever eats McDonald's here is getting local. But you know, the thing is that a lot of illness that the people of White Earth endure, of course, it is food related, food systems. Traditionally or historically, we experienced vibrant lifestyles. We were very fit, active people, but that's because we knew our food system, we knew our environment, we had access to it, and we worked with it. And we very rarely took more than what we needed, unless, you know, we needed more. But so food sovereignty to myself through this journey so far has been understanding where my food comes from. How do I get my food? Where do I get my food? Can I get my food? Rather than being dependent on USDA, which we are now. The majority of our diet is USDA FDIPR, you know, food distribution. However, through the survey process, we managed to identify producers on the reservation, people that identified, as I was talking about the land that's no longer accessible, they also identified land that is accessible, land that is currently under production, and land that has potential. And through this process, we're now identifying, I guess, stakeholders and affinity groups of industry that have the potential to be built right here on the reservation.
That's awesome, and that's sorry about that long question, but you really did answer it, and I know it all goes hand in hand in our own native sovereignty is when we can start taking control of our own food, our own energy, and really be a sovereign nation and not be colonized. And I can only think of you know, once in a while I'll have it just for old time's sake, but I mean, fry bread isn't sacred. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's bad food for us, and we need to really bust through that. And I appreciate your knowledge.
I would like to say I think the caloric count of fry bread is very sacred.
Yeah, okay, all right, I'll take that. So let's talk a little bit more about the renewable energy career fair. So what are you're doing this for your people? We want them to have the new generation of jobs and things like that. That's what's happening, right?
Yes. Oh, wow. I keep hearing the phrase paradigm shift. This economy or the current capitalist economy that is so devoured our traditions and cultures, and that mentality is now proving to be unsustainable.
Right.
And you know, I was raised as the youngest of 6 siblings, completely off of the land. God, wow. You know, I owe my life to this land. Food, friends, family, shelter, what have you. It has come from White Earth, you know? And growing up, I felt that, you know, once I got into public schools and had this opportunity or, you know, faced a lot of stigmas of what is, who has not, right? What is poor? What holds value? Where is value held? And since the invention of Juna, you know, every red cent that has ever been exchanged has been for the exchange of energy in one form or another.
That's right.
And this paradigm shift, the wealth of this capitalist economy has been extracted from the resources of indigenous lands, from tribal people. Like, White Earth, it wasn't always where the forest met the prairie. The prairie was created because the forest was removed, right?
Exactly.
Traditions, histories, older than our trees and older than the boundaries,
Hey, do you have a time for another segment? We got another segment, or are you guys on the fly? I'd really like to get a little deeper, if you don't mind.
Time does not exist until we create it, my friend.
Right on. Right on. Okay. Well, this is awesome. We're going to get deeper into this conversation. Really appreciate it. Bridget and her crew up there. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break. Maybe we can talk a little bit about Niji Radio too. That'd be pretty cool. You got the radio voice happening, I hear. So we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey, good.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
When we heal from our traumas,
When we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Navigating COVID while protecting yourself can be difficult. Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. We'll expose and make sense of all of our current political nightmares and more every weeknight at 7 on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. My grandfather started Standard over 90 years ago, and we've been a family-owned company ever since, serving over 500,000 of our fellow Minnesotans. I'm proud to be the fourth generation of my family working in our business. And when we say we treat our employees and clients like family, we truly mean it. See how we can help your family stay comfortable all year long at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is having their biggest sale of the year. It's the Triple Savings Sale. When you install both a new furnace and air conditioner in April, you can combine manufacturer's rebates, utility rebates, and Standard's April promotion for triple savings of up to $2,775. Plus, ask about installing a water heater with your purchase to save even more. The savings are flying in April at Standard Heating, so again, make sure you take advantage of the Triple Savings Sale where you can save up to $2,775 when you install both a new furnace and AC. Call 612-824-2656 or visit standardheating.com.
Spring is here, and that means it's time to get your vehicle serviced for the warmer months ahead. No matter what vehicle you drive, for quality care, head to Rudy Luther Toyota and get the service you can trust. Tires, brakes, batteries, oil changes, filters, wipers, you name it, and Rudy Luther's top-notch care team will get it done. And with their speedy service, you can enjoy their service area too, with accommodations for everyone, like the quiet professional space or the play area for the kids. Check out the service specials at RudyLutherToyota.com. For your vehicle service, it's Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Rain overnight with a low of 36. Then rain continues on Wednesday with strong winds with a high of 40. Hazel's Northeast is now open Tuesdays through Sundays, offering the most creative comfort food you'll find. They're at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, just minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Bonjour, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. This portion is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. Hey, we're here with some exciting guests here, and I love the feedback we're having here on Facebook Live. They're saying really good guests and great information. We're here with Bridget and Joe Dan, and we've been just talking a little bit about what's going on with their energy renewable career fair, and also a little bit about food sovereignty, which is always a deep dive, but we really appreciate you stopping in. Let's talk a little bit more about what we're doing, what you guys are going to be doing on the, I believe it's the 28th. Let me just take a quick look here. It is the 29th, the April 29th, and it's open to the public. Can you just jump in and tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we'll have, like you mentioned, it starts at 12:30. It'll be at the Callaway Community Center, which is about 3 hours and a half north of the Twin Cities on White Earth. We'll have lunch at 12:30 and a keynote at 1:30, and we'll have lots of booths. We have utility companies coming, unions, University of Minnesota. We'll have the different campuses show up, and other organizations across Minnesota whose work focuses on energy and the many opportunities that are coming up with this energy revolution that's happening, this paradigm shift that we're all, we all hear it from different sources globally and locally, and the time is now. The time is ripe to all put our beautiful minds together and make this a better world. So that's really what the big picture is. Opportunities are there for different education, training. You don't have to go through a 4-year program. There are other programs, but if you want to do 4-year, that's fine. So we're meeting people where they're at. Everyone is on their own journey, including myself. So we're just trying to keep that momentum going, keep those conversations going, and have good conversations with, like I said, utilities, education, institutions, and the public, anyone who's interested, whether you're from White Earth or the other reservations in this area, or native from the Twin Cities, or non-native, you're all welcome to come. April 29th, 12:30 to 4 at the Callaway Community Center.
That's perfect. And we talk often here. This radio show was started because of Standing Rock and all the misinformation that was going around the country. And I really feel like the 7 fires and the 8 fires that left Standing Rock and the No Dapple situation has really enlightened a lot of us and a lot of our allies. So the next generation is renewables, and there's companies all over the world and all over the country that are switching over that, and we just need a government per se to really lead the way, and they aren't all in a good way. So it's good that our own sovereign nation here and you guys are doing this. So any last words before I let you go? But I really appreciate reaching out, and this is like a great conversation, both you, and I'd like to have you guys on again if you feel like you could do that again. We're on 5 days a week, so we're always looking for great people to talk to like yourselves. Any last words?
Miigwech, I really appreciate it. This was just really spur of the moment. Literally before I joined, this is the first I heard of today's conversation here on the air. So, Chi Miigwech and luck. Luck is a combination of opportunity and preparedness. Opportunity was here. We seem to be prepared. Yeah, I would love to join you again, further this conversation. We need to garner the enthusiasm that currently lacks experience, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
this is where we're at. We're building the people, building the people before we build the infrastructure. But it all comes together.
Wow.
You guys, thank you so much for the restoration of the land and the cultural and our food sovereignty. And that just means more independence for us and independence from the government, from eating their poison food. And thank you guys so much for doing what you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, and for uplifting the health of our people too. I mean, growing our own food, eating our own stuff, knowing that where it came from, that's really promoting our health and our future. So thank you, Miigwech.
Yeah, thanks again, Bridget. Reach out again, and love to have you both on again, and your fan club behind you too.
Oh, I'm their fan club.
They're building every day.
Yeah, they're my motivation to keep going every day. So thank you again, and I'll reach out in a week or 2 weeks. So thank you again.
Sounds great. We'll see you. Thanks. Wow, that was an awesome conversation. Really, that was great. We got Nancy Beaulieu here of Bemidji 350, and it says Rise on there, like she's a rising. So what's happening up there in the deep north? I'm glad you could make it with us. It's always great to see you, Nancy Beaulieu. I know you had mouse problems, but it looks like you survived that, and you are here. Welcome as always.
Yes. Well, thanks for having me. And I want to give a big shout out to Andy Pearson from 350 for troubleshooting my frozen mouse. And you win, Robert. I'm here, and always happy to be here. And for those that don't know me, I'm Nancy Beaulieu, the Northern Organizer for Minnesota 350, and I'm a proud constituent of the Leech Lake Reservation here in northern Minnesota. And I wanted to share this land acknowledgement, Robert. I always say I don't have much to share, but I remembered that our coworker Noelle at Minnesota 350, who does an awesome job with our MN 350 action, our political aid. But just recently she shared this. Well, it's not really a land acknowledgement. It just kind of springs off of it. And I want to read it because it was like, wow, I need a copy of that because more non-Native people need to understand, a land acknowledgement is to honor and recognize whose land you're on. And sometimes if we don't do more, then the land acknowledgement becomes just more glorified lip service, and it doesn't really serve its purpose. And so that's
Before
some of
you
the
read that, can I tell you what my land acknowledgement always is?
Oh yeah, I want to hear.
Give me back our land. That's my land acknowledgement. So I don't get a lot of people asking me for land acknowledgements at special events. So
Right,
go ahead.
I think you're going to like this one, Robert. So let me read it out loud and clear. And again, this statement, I want to call it more of a statement, was written by non-Native people. And I think, if we have more non-Native people that think like these ones here, I think there's a lot of good things that we can look forward to when it comes to recognizing that we were here first and these are our homelands. And the United States wouldn't have sovereignty if they didn't sign treaties with us. So, sometimes I want to say this in a good way, but there's not a good way to say it, but they stole our freedom for theirs. And,
Yeah.
that's why I've decolonized 4th of July, because I can't celebrate the birth of this country. Maybe I could have been a happy partner if we would have got along a lot better, but it's not the way it is. So I do not celebrate July 4th. But anyway, I read this call to action for those treaty people out there far and wide. We're all treaty people. While land acknowledgements are intended to be respectful, they oversimplify complex tribal histories and fail to recognize the ongoing impacts of colonization that tribal communities continue to live with to this day. In place of land acknowledgement, we ask that you support Indigenous communities by taking action. We ask that you, 1, give the land back to tribes. I know you like that one, Robert. 2, protect the environment and wild rice. Tribal cultures depend on them. 3, insist that the United States respects tribal sovereignty and upholds its trust responsibility to tribes, which includes appropriate levels of funding, federal funding to support tribal needs. Many promises to the tribes still need to be kept. So that's an in perpetuity obligation under those treaties. So there's a lot of misconception. They think they gave us rights when indeed we gave them the right to occupy and have some of these rights under those signed treaty relationships. 4, elect officials and judges that understand tribal governments, relationships, and law. So again, Robert, when we think about why it's important to vote, you have to support candidates that align with our values and understand that treaties are supreme law of the land, and that, we're not going to take this no more. So we really need to step it up by getting out and vote. I'm not just for the November 3rd ticket, but also during the primary. And I think that's in the second week in August. I want to say August 9th. I could be wrong. But that's why it's important to vote, because they are our voices. 5, invest in tribal economics. So, there's a lot of good work to be done. And sometimes, because of lack of funding and just the disparities and the way that we are oppressed, we don't have a whole lot of money to do the good work. So please invest in our communities with people on the front line, some of the solar projects that are happening. There's a lot of good different ways you can support the tribes. You can also challenge and reject all stereotypes about Indigenous people. So, Robert, I just seen the other day, there was this heated conversation on Facebook. Some non-native that grew up on Leech Lake thought he could play Indian, and yeah, it was not good. But what one guy put in there, he says, if you need to run from the Indians, make sure you run past the liquor store to buy more time. So you know what I did? I found some statistics. We are not the drunks here. I'll just put it that way.
Right.
We are not.
Hey, Nancy, can you finish it up on the next segment?
I sure can.
That's awesome. But yeah, land acknowledgements are so important, and I'm really digging this one. Nancy, the great work you do up in the deep north, and along with Gina and all the other water protectors, we're all like really proud of you and proud of both of you, and I think it's really fun and important to have you on each week, because it really reminds me of the great work you do and how the 8th fires came from DAPL, no Dakota Access Pipeline. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Children's Minnesota raises up children's health by raising the standards, hands, voices, the bar, the stakes, the questions, and the curtain on raising kids' health to the highest priority. With the most pediatric experts in the upper Midwest, we're setting the stage because kids need us, all of us. So let's raise them up so every kid can reach their best health. Children's Minnesota, the kid experts.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. Oh, come on, Nancy. What?
Hey, I'm juggling two things here now.
Yeah, that's right.
Gina's got it down. She's got it down. Mhm.
The third one would have been a howl, right? Hey, let's get back into this land acknowledgement. We only got a few minutes here in our last segment, and it's very interesting. So we're here with Nancy Beaulieu and, of course, Gina Peltier of Honor the Earth, and Nancy Beaulieu of Bemidji 350.
Yeah, can I just say something real quick? I just want to point out the fact, that they didn't need to take our freedom to be free. The reason we have treaties is because we won those battles and those wars, and we acknowledged them as human beings, and we decided we wanted for them to also have their freedoms. So we decided that we wanted to live as good neighbors.
Right.
But instead, they wanted to continue their chaos and destructive ways. So now it's just we have no choice but to demand our land back.
Right. I totally agree with you, what she said. And, and that goes to the next part here. And I think if we move on to the next part here, I think there'll be a lot more understanding and respect for us. And this is to insist that your children and grandchildren are taught accurate information about the histories, the culture, and the contemporary lives of Indigenous people. That's all we need to do, Robert, is find out the real truthful history. And unfortunately, you don't find that in United States history books. So there is a conversation happening at the Minnesota Indians Affairs Council that is supporting this. And so we can only pray that, the truth be told, because there is a shared history here. And like Gina said, we intended to live in peace and to leave the earth in a better way. And unfortunately, that's not what we're seeing. But anyway, number 8, inform yourself about the issues impacting Indigenous communities and speak up. Amplify our struggles. Be a good ally and tell the world what's going on here, and talk to your legislators and your neighbors and your family and talk about what you can do to support us, because our sovereignty and well-being and our cultures and language, those are born to us. And that's what makes our lands and waters precious. This is all who we are. We're all related. So we have to remind ourselves that we as allies need to show up and do some of these things that we spoke of here. And that's very important. And I want to share one more thing too, Robert, before my time runs up. And I think Gina could share a link that I shared with her earlier. So right now, we're asking on people through our work at Minnesota 350 Action is to reach out to their legislators to support clean energy legislation. And there are several bills being introduced right now at the Minnesota legislation, and that is House File number 4404, House File number 4654, House File 4402, House File 305 and House File 3897. And these are bills that are going to introduce $30 million to create more incentives for solar energy production and storage statewide. And then there's $25 million in grants for solar energy on public buildings and government structures, Robert. And that sounds great to me. Tax exemptions for limited size of solar energy systems. And then the last one, grants up to $2,500 for electric panel upgrades in residential homes and $12,500 for multifamily buildings. That means me and you, and the world here in a minute, I should say statewide, not the world, but we can start converting into something that's more clean and better for our environment if we support these bills. So Gina has shared a link. Just click on it, and it's a little form you fill out, go to the next, and it only takes a couple minutes of your time, but you know what? It helps protect the 7th generations, and it helps make our work a lot easier. And it's where things change, is when we support legislation, we support candidates that introduce this kind of work. So again, it's important to vote, Robert.
Yeah, totally. And I'm going to be at my convention here this Saturday down here in the Twin Cities. And we got to just make sure that people know that we're here and that we're keeping an eye on them, and that we're going to keep them accountable and ask the right questions that we talk about, and we're revving up here in a couple months. We'll be doing Rock the Vote Native style, and we're going to put our politicians, we're not just going to support them, we're going to ask them what's up, right?
Right. And, unfortunately, sometimes we need to step it up too. And I'm glad I'm one of those people, because I'm a delegate to the CD8 convention and the state convention. I will be speaking to our treaties there. And I think it's important, that we start showing up. If you can't show up in any of those, run for office or be a delegate, we want you to show up and support the candidates that align with us. And sometimes they're natives and non-natives, it just depends on, what their values are. And if they align with ours, then we want to support them. So again, make sure you follow MN350 Action on Facebook. We'll be sharing our endorsements. And I want to give a shout out to all the candidates, every single one of them, that stand with us, that showed up on the front line, and that continue to be steadfast in creating legislation that takes care of all of us.
Hey, Nancy, do you remember who is running for lieutenant governor in the Republican governor race?
Oh, no, I don't. I just remember she's from Red Lake.
She was native. So it's like, that goes to what you have to say about, people that are, have our values is who we have to support, not just because they're native.
Right. And that's really, something that we really need to talk about. And it might be uncomfortable to talk about it, because we always want to support our relatives. But we also have to remember that when we run for these jobs, we're not running for political careers. We're trying to be a voice to address the issues that connect all of us. So we have to remind ourselves to walk with a good heart and know that protecting our sacred is what's important to our work. So again, to make an informed voting decision, you have to follow us on Rock the Vote Native style. You have to follow us on MN350 Action.
That's right. Gina, do you have anything to add before we end the show? Because you are really an important part of the show now, and you have a lot of great things to say.
Yeah, run for office and don't be intimidated by the big money and the corporate money, and stick to your grassroots and to show the people that you're really running for them, because money shouldn't run the world. It really shouldn't, and because just look at all the chaos it's causing and oppression. So don't get intimidated when you're running for office. I mean, that's a great win if you win a grassroots campaign against a corporate campaign. So you guys just go for it. You have the support there, especially if you're really for the people. Don't get intimidated. Right. Go out, go vote, go run for office, and cause some good trouble.
That's what I always say at the end of the show, Gina. we need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. And I do mean that. And I'm still a little butthurt about Bernie. And Bernie was grassroots, and he was getting the average of $26. People giving him money. It wasn't the big. He didn't take PACs. So just to what you're saying, Gina, I agree 100%. That's go out there in a good way, in a good heart, and people will know that, and just remain to do that. And don't
Right.
forget, brother, he's running for office too.
And I just wanted to add one note. Our endorsements at MN 350 Action have signed pledges not to receive any money from fossil fuel extractive industry. So those candidates at MN 350 Action, if they're making a plea for campaign financial support, please dig deep and support their campaigns, because again, they're running on our money, the good money. And so make sure you support those campaigns.
Yeah, vote for Joey.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Hey, I don't normally do this, but I gotta use the applause button. All right. And we are out. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Thanks, Nancy Beaulieu. Thank you, Bridget and Joe Dan, and of course Gina and Wendy. I miss you. Come back. I hope you feel better tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates?